Hi, this is Stewart Scothorn with the Annuity Link. I have Brittany Blaylock from our office, one of our agents, and we're here to discuss something super exciting today. You know, it has always been said that people with money know how to have their money work for them. And we have the opportunity today, Brittany, to talk about a product that's fairly new to most of the people. Really uber wealthy people have always had this product. I can't say always, at least in the last few decades. But this is now a fairly new product to people that I would say in the upper middle income kind of range, that it makes sense from so many different perspectives to be able to utilize. And it's called a financed premium product. What Brittany, does that really mean?
Sure. So it really is nothing more than a life insurance product, but it's got both a living benefit and a death benefit. And you're utilizing leverage to get more for your money, but also really the biggest piece is having that living and death benefit, right? You're utilizing leverage to provide both.
And leverage meaning it's being financed, much like something you know a lot about.
Sure.
In the real estate side, if you were to buy a home and get a mortgage, generally speaking, somebody could pay, if they had $100,000, they'd get a $100,000 home. But if they use leverage, they could get a $500,000 home.
Right. Right.
So in essence, what we're looking at is you can get a bigger life insurance policy and you can get more benefits. You and I were looking earlier today, and I mean, this is almost unbelievable. So I will say, hang on, let me just walk you through and kind of just talk about it. But if you were looking at somebody, and you and I know folks that are in categories in their 20s, that it would make sense for this kind of product. But we were looking at what the numbers could look for them, and they could generate almost $400,000 a year in annual income for the rest of their life when they retire at 65. That was what that looked like. Right.
Yeah. So they could not only have a larger retirement, but they also have a death benefit too.
Right.
So God forbid something happened between now and then, they have a death benefit that's carrying throughout. So they're protecting themselves or their family, but $400,000 a year in retirement income. That is huge.
And we looked at it from a bigger perspective and said, look, what if they live to age 85? What the total amount and what would it take on the front end? What we were looking at is, for a small amount in my mind, if I look at the bigger numbers and say, Brittany, I'm going to give you a chance to invest $125,000 over 5 years, $25,000 a year for 5 years. And at the end, you're going to take out $8.9 million. I said that right. $8.9 million tax-free.
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 Right.
Not paying taxes on it. So if you looked at this from that perspective, it's like, no, that's not true. Well, let me just encourage you that we would love to have that opportunity to run scenarios. But one of the scenarios that you and I have talked about a lot are, you know, something that's near and dear to you because you came from that side as a realtor, and you kept saying this would make sense. Tell me what your thoughts are on why that makes sense for people like that.
So the biggest opportunity and the reason why it works for what they call independent contractors or 1099. They're not employees because they're 1099. They're contractors. And in the real estate industry, you don't have individuals set up for 401k accounts. They don't have retirement set up because they're independent. And so it makes a lot of sense for someone that is in that category. You know, there's a whole industry there to look at a product like this to be setting up their retirement, because what else do they have, right? Unless you're investing in, and you can invest in other assets, but this gives them leverage, that leverage that they work with every single day in mortgages to be able to set themselves up for success. And the younger they are, the better it is, right? So in real estate, you know, you sell homes your whole life until what, you
Right.
know, and then you're out. And so hopefully you've set up some type of retirement, but there's a whole industry out there, not just real estate, but anybody that's working in that type of,
1099.
right. They're
Well,
not
and I would
employees.
even argue to say that I wouldn't think of this being a replacement for people that did have 401ks.
Right.
That I think you could do this ancillary, because if we're talking about someone that's a higher income earner and they have the ability to come up with $25,000, and I show them, if you put that in the market and you just say, here's what could happen, you're entirely right that could happen. But there's two differences. One, because this is an insurance product, we work with one word that doesn't exist in the stock market or bond market or whatever we want to look at, and that's called a guarantee. You are guaranteed that you won't lose any money,
Right.
because it's an insurance product. Again, that's a contract directly from the insurance company to the individual. And that's exactly what this would end up being as well. And the other side is they don't pay any taxes. So on a 401k, even though you might have seen that thing grow, it isn't 401k by the time you cash out. It's a 201 whatever. And so, you know,
Sure.
you've now cut half of that in taxes when you start taking that money out, because you got to pay taxes.
Right.
This product, you don't pay tax. It is very unique. It's why the uber wealthy stay uber wealthy, is they utilize tools like this not only to give them leverage, but to not pay taxes. That's what all Americans want. So what we want to do is encourage people to be able to know that there is a product, and it doesn't matter. We talked about real estate people, but look, doctors, lawyers, I would say almost anybody that's a high income earner. And let me throw you another curve. You and I talked about this. Wouldn't it be nice if you had grandchildren that somebody said, you know what, I want to build a legacy for my kids?
Right.
And even at the age of 1, you can start something like this. But let's just say you started at 20, and all of a sudden now somebody's 65 years old. Yes, that's over $400,000 or $500,000 a year in income, and you're looking at this child going, you know, you're set for life. And what did you do for 5 years? Funded $25,000 a year. Well, and again, we would love to run scenarios for you. We're just talking about one particular one. But if that's the case, there are people that spend $125,000 a year just on tuition.
Right. Yeah. And nowadays that's the going rate for, you know, sometimes, 1 semester, 2 semesters of college.
And I'm not suggesting don't do that, but if you're going to do that, let's create the legacy that you really want: financial freedom. And that's what we're really looking at as Americans. How can we do that? And how can we do that for our family for generations to come? This is that product that I think makes the most sense to go ahead and create wealth in a way that takes advantage of a couple of things. Obviously, you're talking about guarantees and taxes. No taxes, and you have the guarantees. So I think those are the two things that I look at. One of the things that you and I have visited about this product before is that if we can let somebody understand as a group, they may have some key employees as well.
Right.
Tell me what your thoughts are when we talked about that.
Well, sure. So especially in today's, the marketplace, and today's, in the employer marketplace, you not only can provide your employees with this benefit, but they're not in lieu of their 401k, but in addition to, right? So another retirement vehicle to set them up. You know, if you have high earners, high key employees that are making a significant amount of money, but you're giving them another benefit to add to their retirement, you're helping set them up for success in places like medical practices and medical groups, things like that, where they've got doctors that are doing really well, but they've maxed out their 401ks.
Right.
So it's another incentive to look at as for key employees as an employer to add to their portfolio for retirement, and gives you
Right.
that benefit from an employment standpoint to add on to that.
So I think in trying to just go through this, probably on a 30,000 foot view down, look, if you're an employer, this would be great. for key employees that you could help out. If you were a 1099 person looking for a retirement vehicle that's secure, you know, the one thing that you got to look at with the guarantee means something, particularly when you watch the stock market go down 10%, 20%, and realizing I'm supposed to live off that the rest of my life. Well, what if you had something that you already knew you had? And it was taken care of in 5 years. That's what blows my mind. I'm like, you can do this in 5 years. How does it work? It is because of leverage. Again, it's financed premium, so you are getting that benefit, just like we mentioned the house. But you can do this, 1099 employees, you can do this for grandkids. You can do it in addition to what you have if you're a high earner. This is always going to be something that gives you the protection for your family in case something happens. I mean, the death benefit, which life insurance, that's the first part, right? But it creates lifetime income as well. And those living benefits are huge. And again, like I said, if we look at that and we say, okay, wait a minute, show me where you can get a $125,000 investment and it's going to be $9 million. And you're saying, well, I could, you know, here's this stock, here's that stock. Yeah, but how many people tried that and it didn't work? I mean, we're working with guarantees, so it does tend to be a little bit different. And that's why I said on this product, not only is there that guarantee, there's no taxes. So of all the products that we've been excited to show anybody on the annuity side, this one, because of what we think it can do, really to give people that financial freedom that they're wanting in their family, generationally, within a workplace to take care of people. We really believe in this product, Brittany, don't we?
We do. And let me ask you a question, Stewart.
Sure.
What about collateral?
Well, that's the great thing about what, and I'm glad you asked me that. With most people that have this product, before this particular product rolled out, most individuals that were uber wealthy had to provide their own collateral as guarantees. The collateral in this particular vehicle to do this product is just the cash value that you put in the first 5 years. There are no guarantees. There's no loan documents that you sign that say you owe me this. It's taken care of internally, and it will be paid from the cash value of the life insurance over the course of time that policy is in effect. So that's the other thing. There is no guarantee. There is no collateral that they have to put up. Very unique in terms of the way that it's presented. And most importantly, quite honestly, this is a way to reach more people, to give them that financial freedom that they're really looking for. So let me encourage everyone that is out there that has a chance to see this, that you would give someone here, Brittany or I or one of our other agents at the Annuity Link, a chance to go ahead and maybe run some scenarios for you. And like this video and follow us for more content.